Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
If you wanna run away with me, I know a galaxy and I can take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life. Glitter in the sky, glitter in my eyes, shining just the way I like.
Welcome everyone to another spectacular, fantabulous, absolutely amazing episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, I'm like tripping over my words because I'm so excited about this conversation. We have a 2-time TEDx and global keynote speaker, workplace performance expert, and executive coach. Her talks blend 2 decades worth, which doesn't seem possible because she looks like she's still so young to have that much. She must have started when she was like 5. Of work with corporate leaders and teams with a modern science-based approach to taking more strategic risks and being braver in the work that we do. Her first book, Good Awkward, which is coming out hot. I had to say it like she did because it's coming out hot, September 2023. We're recording this in the summer of 2023 ahead of it because she's so busy, and I just wanted to get her on the calendar because everybody needs to be connecting with this individual because she resonates. She keeps it real. She's got a delicious coating of credibility with every room she enters, and most importantly for this program, she gets loud. Thrive Loud listeners, Henna Pryor. Henna,
Hi.
Welcome to Thrive Loud.
Thank you for having me, and I just need you to follow me around and introduce me everywhere I go, if that's cool, because that was delightful. I loved every second of that.
If I accepted that offer for everybody and had to bounce around for everyone, I'd be all over the place because the people I'm dealing with are big time. Listeners know this. Fans of this show have come to see it. But not everyone, and specifically the dedicated Thrive Loud listeners, had a chance to learn about you, Henna. So here's what I want to do. I kind of want to do like this little rewind. You remember the old days of like cassette tapes? You probably don't because you're too young.
No, I'm not too young. I had cassettes.
You remember like when all the tape, like everything went so fast and the tape actually came out of the thing and you had to like use like pencils and stuff to rewind.
Use your fingers and the pencils. Yep.
Yeah, I want to kind of do like a little rewind. I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning. I want to go to the rewind to understand how this message, this thing you're delivering now, became your gig.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so the message is about awkwardness, right? We're talking about awkwardness. And what was the catalyst for this is 2-pronged. First, awkwardness is my middle name. You know, I'm firstborn child of immigrants. I felt like I never looked the same. My food didn't smell the same. The way I showed up was just always a little off, a little different. I always felt like the person that I was trying to present to the world was in constant tension with the person that people would see. And when a few years ago, Brene Brown started to bring all of her stuff to the forefront, you know, I think like many people in the personal, professional development space, I very much worship at the altar of all things Brene. I think she's genius. And I remember in her podcast, she would say at the end, she had a tagline. Every time she had a podcast episode, she would say, "Stay awkward, brave, and kind." So any Brene fans will know this phrase, stay awkward, brave, and kind. And I remember thinking every single time she said that, I know how to stay brave and I know how to stay kind, but staying awkward sucks. I've been awkward my whole life, and staying awkward is uncomfortable. Sitting in awkwardness is uncomfortable. So I hear you, Queen Brene, on the brave and kind, but the awkward part, that's not easy. And it kind of created this curiosity in me about how do we stay awkward? Why do we feel awkward? Why is this so hard for all of us, especially following the pandemic, especially when our social skills collectively started to take a nosedive? And so that's where the research train started to go down the tracks, and it's been pretty much nonstop for the last 3 years.
First of all, I love the good awkward message, and I have a really good question to kick things off here. I deal with a lot of thought leaders, authors, professional speakers, game changers on this program, those that thrive loud. And I would probably think that of the hundreds of guests that have been on the show, they're all a little awkward.
Yeah, 100% of them.
We're all a little awkward. And I guess that's where I want to go with. I mean, the movie Revenge of the Nerds was on the other day, and there were all these like good-looking jocks and the pretty girls at the university, and there was like this whole, the nerds come up and they end up fighting back and taking the lead, and everybody's stepping into their nerddom, right? Which is a little bit of that awkwarddom. So Henna, if I think we're all a little awkward, why is it not okay to be that way in some people's minds initially?
So I'll first say your thinking is correct. It's not that you think we're all a little awkward. We are. The only people who don't experience awkwardness as an emotion are sociopaths, right? It's an emotion that is universally experienced. And to eliminate awkwardness is eliminating uncertainty in life, which is impossible. So first of all, you are correct. We are all awkward. And part of what I'm hoping to reclaim in this work is that awkwardness got a bad rap. And I think the reason that people put a negative connotation or association on it is, often when we use the term, we think of it in one of two ways. It's either the state of awkwardness or the trait of awkwardness. And so when people say, I am socially awkward, right? That's the trait of being awkward. I, call myself my character, who I am awkward. That is a trait I use to describe. And for some folks, they wouldn't describe themselves that way. They just experience the trait of awkwardness, the emotion of awkwardness, which is, okay, I have to have this conversation right now, and it's going to be really awkward, right? Or I'm going to have to, say this thing that I don't want to say in the meeting, and it's going to be really awkward. I just totally put my foot in my mouth. It feels awkward, and it's a little bit more temporary, a little more transient. The reason it gets a bad rap, to answer your question, is it's uncomfortable, right? It is an uncomfortable, but one that is unavoidable and absolutely necessary. And so where I got really excited about the work is I had yet to find anyone who had done a proper deep dive on the role that particular emotion or description of yourself as a trait played in either advancing or hindering our personal and professional development. And what was amazing to realize is it plays a significant role. And so when we think of it as a negative, it is a negative. But if we can reclaim it and look at it differently, in fact, it's quite the contrary. It's something extremely powerful that we should be leaning into more often.
I got a good one here. And I thought about this because you've helped with career development in your career and helping people advance, whether through coaching or through career placements and all that stuff in the space that you've lived in. And back in the day, there was a lot of times where we would try to spin a failure or changes in our career on our resumes and whatnot into a story and weave it in a way that would make us more presentable to the common person or to everybody, to take our story and kind of make it real or show that it was leading in a path forward. Today, should we be highlighting those mistakes more often and embracing the awkwardness of them instead of trying to spin them into better sounding type things and kind of dive into the awkwardness of the lives that we lead, the business mistakes that we deal with each day, the errors of our ways?
Yeah, I love the question. And I'm going to maybe answer it by giving a little bit of a distinction that's helpful. I think often people confuse awkwardness with ineptitude. And these are two different things. To feel awkward or to have an awkward experience is not equivalent to ineptitude. Ineptitude implies, gross inability or a lack of skill in a certain area. So the metaphor I use in my book often is, I wouldn't want to hire an inept anesthesiologist, but I'd be perfectly fine hiring an awkward one. Right? So this isn't about ineptitude. So if the mistakes that we're referring to put you in danger of perception of strong ineptitude, then I'm not saying that, part of embracing our awkward is you put all your stuff out on display all the time, right? I don't think that's how the world works. But I think not every mistake is a mark on your ineptitude. Not every misstep is a blemish on your ability to do your job effectively from a career standpoint. So it's the ones that aren't. It's the ones that really create an opportunity to stand out, to talk about learning. And the other metaphor I love is, we do live in an era now, in this digital era, where everyone can see us in a different way. And there's this huge danger of becoming this very vanilla, palatable to the masses version of ourselves. And what I really want to empower people to be is, I'm in my 40s. I grew up in the cassette tape era. I also grew up in the Wonder Bread era, right? Instead of being Wonder Bread, I want people to be that bumpy, misshapen artisanal bread that costs $14 at the bakery, right? We're paying a premium because it's different, because it's a little bit raw, because there was a little more heart behind it. And people are just need to be willing to show more of that side of themselves versus the cookie cutter version in order to stand out in this market where everybody is at risk of sounding the same. It's critical now.
I've watched your TED Talks. I've kind of even seen some of your speaker stuff. I've gotten to meet you personally. And at the time that people are listening to this, we would have been hanging out at a fun event over the summer for professional speakers. This is what they call fast forwarding the conversation. A lot of tape moving back and forth. We're using those little pencils in the cassette tape a lot.
Yeah.
And in this window of time, I think there are steps that most people want to find that awkwardness in a weird way, to try and harp on it. I want to understand from what I've seen of you, because you are polished, you are sharp, you're very smart, and you address this message. What makes Henna Pryor awkward?
Oh, it doesn't. I love it. I love it. And I laugh when people are like, you just seem so confident, right? Like, my brand of confidence took me a long time to find. And so what I would say to people is that for a long time, listen, my name is Henna. In the 80s growing up, I wanted to be Jennifer or Samantha, right? I wanted to be all the things that everybody else was. And for a long time, I would look to the people, and I think any, teenager of any gender can think of this similarly. I would look to the people who I thought had cool confidence, and I would want to be like them, right? I'm like, I just need to have that cool confidence. And I realized that version is never coming for me. Like, I do not know how to be that version. And so what in my 20s, I finally started to find and discover was what I now refer to as awkward confidence, grounded confidence. I still, when I start laughing really hard, I snort. I literally always have bruises all over my legs because I'm so clumsy and I bump into things. I'm constantly saying the wrong thing and blurting it out. But for so many years, I just tried to, sand away those edges. And what people see as confident now is 100% a result of me now owning those edges and not apologizing for it. Like, I don't know how to sand those edges smooth. And so I've stopped trying. And there is something remarkably relatable to people about that kind of confidence. And, there's research that backs this up. They say when people are willing to say, God, I am so awkward. Why can't I ever say the wrong thing? When you actually express that awkward discomfort, it actually, research corroborated, makes you more trustworthy, more kind, more relatable, more generous. And it's because that lack of perfection puts other people at ease. They see a confident Henna when it's really that lack of perfection that I've fully stepped into that translates to this primal confidence that people see now. But I still feel awkward every damn day. I just own it.
Hold on one second. Make Henna laugh by end of podcast to get her to snort. Okay.
Snort, cackle, which one you want?
I had my notes for the show. I didn't want to make sure they got away. No, I agree with you. And I think confidence and that confident awkwardness is such an important thing, because if it's like owning who you are, and it's owning, like, when I connect with guests on this program or in life or in person or wherever, there's an aspect of confidence that it takes that people want to be attracted to. And to your side, there's an aspect or an amount of awkwardness that we also want to connect to, because I guess it makes us feel more comfortable. And it's like that misery loves company thing, but it's also our humanness makes us love putting that together.
Yeah.
I'd love to know this question. This is a question I ask all authors on this program. I want to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Good Awkward, coming out hot, everybody, September 2023, September 26th, if you want the exact date, but this episode should be coming around right around that time. Good Awkward is a gift that you're giving to the world, which we're thankful for, and thank you for that. But we have found on this program that the authors that put this stuff together, a happy accident has occurred, and the author receives a gift in the writing of their particular book. Henna Pryor, what was the happy accident or gift that you received in putting Good Awkward together for you?
Yeah. Oh gosh, so many. So this is going to be a challenging question because I have to pick one. I think going into the book, I still held on to some misconception that there's a large population of people who still feel the way I do every time they're at an inflection point or in a new room or at a turning point, but that there are some people that have it figured out. I still held on to that idea that some people just have it figured out. And in the research and in the interviewing, I realized like everyone feels awkward. It's universal. One of my favorite little tidbits of research is there's a tribe in Papua New Guinea who had never seen their own reflection in a mirror. Even where they lived, there was so obviously there were no mirrors, but even the river would run too fast, so they couldn't see their reflection. And so some anthropologists came and visited this tribe for the first time. They brought a variety of trinkets with them, and one of the things that they brought was a mirror. And when these people saw their reflection for the first time, they literally had a cringe reaction. Right? They had a cringe because what they saw, and this is sort of the definition of awkwardness, what they saw that other people were seeing was at odds with what they believed themselves to be. And so this is when we experience awkwardness, is when the person that we believe ourselves to be in a given moment, for a moment, even if it's a blip, there's a gap between that version and then the version that's on display, the version that other people see. And so it was fascinating to me to learn just how ungodly universal this is. And, I think what's important for people to know about why this matters to me so much is that there's really two kinds of awkwardness. There's the awkwardness that exists in life's unplanned moments. So, none of us are thinking about, I'm going to trip over a crack on the sidewalk today. And people are going to be like, she can't walk, right? Like none of us are planning for moments like that. Those are unplanned moments. But then every time you're trying to take a risk at work, every time you're trying to raise your hand and say something hard, right? Or stick up for someone who really needs a voice, or maybe make that suggestion where you're not sure how it's going to be received, you are inviting chances for awkwardness. You are inviting chances for the person that you believe yourself to be being at odds with the person that in that moment they see. And so this is something that I learned the highest achievers, the top performers, deal with every day. And for me, that was a gift to learn that the people I admired most, they don't struggle with it less than I do. They struggle with it exactly the same.
Wow. That Papua New Guinea story, I just keep imagining. Can you imagine if they brought like an iPhone and how many selfies they might be taking? Your description, though, of the way that they see themselves, I always think of the movie The Matrix, and not just the first movie, but as the movie progresses, the way that Neo is seen inside of the Matrix continues to get more and more badass, for lack of a better word, because he believes in himself in that way. And I think that's owning who you are the most. But this book that you've given, it's kind of fun that it's reflecting back at you, and it kind of becomes a gift as to the things that you went through in the beginning to where you are today, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not on the other side of the journey, and I hope I never am. Right? Like it's not like, oh, Henna's figured out awkwardness. To say that I figured it out is to imply that life will never throw a curveball at me, or I'll never say something dumb again. Not happening. Not to this girl. Not happening. But I think what, the through line I want people to walk away with is this is a tool. When wielded wisely and when properly understood with the right toolkit, you can use to your advantage. And I do every day. My career has gotten to where it is in a very short time because I do this every day.
Henna, you've been thriving every day. You've been speaking on stages. You're running around giving this message, and Good Awkward is just going to be real badass. By the way, I'm a big football fan, so I'm kind of excited about the forward or the testimonial you have in your book from the individual you have. That being said, we'll talk about that in the plug section. Okay. You're thriving on most days, but we all have those days when we're a little off our game.
Yeah.
Henna, when you have trouble thriving, when you're a little off your game, what practice do you seek, or which individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Yeah, I love that question. I've heard you ask it of other guests, and I just adore it. I have a bad habit of getting out of my body and into my head as a coping mechanism. So if anybody's a fan of the Enneagram, I know people have mixed feelings on these, but I, resonate with a 7, which is I'd much rather seek joy and optimism and chase laughter than feel hard things. So it's very easy for me when something feels challenging or something didn't go my way for me to immediately go into my head and say, okay, either let me justify that thing, let me just, skirt through it as fast as possible and say, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And so my way of thriving, or at least one of the growth edges I'm working on daily, is creating more and more space every single day to find techniques to stay in my body a little longer so that I properly process things and I end up having a better outcome. So sometimes that's breathing, sometimes it's instead of killing myself on the Peloton for 30 minutes that I give myself permission to take a slow, long walk without my phone. But for me in the last year and hopefully in the years to come, thriving for me is allowing myself, kind of ironically, to spend less time in my head and in my body to create better outcomes professionally. And it's working. It's helping.
Love it. Let's do the admin part of the show. Share with the listeners all the places people could find you, learn about Good Awkward, websites, URLs, social handles, you name it. We will put it in the show notes.
I love it. I'm just I'm Henna Pryor everywhere. I think so far I'm the only Henna Pryor that people have found. So Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. You can go to hennapryor.com for the book. If you want more information, it's on, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, everywhere. But you can go to goodawkward.com to learn a little bit more about the book. And I love making new friends on social. So I would love to be in network with anybody who resonates with this idea of awkwardness as something that they are wrestling with, you and me both. So, join me on this journey. I would love to teach you more about it.
Which is everyone, because we're all awkward. So everybody's going to be connecting with you. That's HENNA Pryor, Pryor, for those that are driving at home and are trying to figure out when they want to write it down later. Anyway, I always like to make sure our guests are not being responsible when they're listening to our program.
Safety first, Lou. I like it.
Henna, you ready to go down Fun Street with me here? I know we've been having fun since the very beginning.
Go.
But are you ready?
I'm born ready, Lou. I'm born ready.
You got to share with the listeners what you shared with me as one of your all-time favorite movies.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is one of my favorite movies. I don't know. It's like, it hasn't changed. I keep waiting for like something else to take its place. No, that movie is underrated and awesome. I love that movie.
So do you appreciate the movie today versus maybe when you originally saw it? Like, did you want to be one of the shrunken people and deal with the small world, or, the parents running around trying to find the people under all of it, all that craziness? Which side do you relate with more today?
Yeah. All of the above. I now have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old. So we've shown it to them now. So it's great to get to see it, through a second set of eyes. And I was actually once trying to psychoanalyze why I like this movie so much. And I think like many other people in our industry, and just relentlessly curious about other people in the world. And to me, that is such a cool way to get curious about things that you can't normally see. I'm like, how cool would it be to see something from that perspective? I just think it's so cool. And I wish I could do it in real life, but I can't.
We're going to do the speed round here on Fun Street. You know how this goes because you're a listener to the program. I'm going to ask you something. First thing that comes to your mind, and here I go. Just whatever comes to your mind in the answers to these questions.
You got it.
Of late, a song that you've been listening to or one of your jams that you love to hear over and over again.
Oh, Dua Lipa, Levitating.
Oh, that's a good one. We're going to have trouble again with the rights on that one every time we put it into the show. She's pretty bossy with that, but we'll get it in there. A favorite food that is not a dessert.
Oh, that is not a dessert. Mac and cheese.
Okay. A favorite dessert. I want to hear what this is.
Anything chocolate. Literally anything. I'm not particular. Just hand chocolate to me. I'm good.
Would you have mac and cheese and then chocolate, or chocolate and then mac and cheese? Because that could go either way. Some people have.
I have been known to have chocolate mousse for breakfast. I am not particular. Either order is fine.
I like that. Yes. An activity you wish you did more of?
Walking. Long walks. Slow walks.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Scroll on my phone.
An activity that's relatively new to you that you've recently tried that you like so much you want to tell everybody else about?
So this is a good one. I have sucked at meditating. So this is just the setup. I've sucked at meditating and I felt very guilty about that. And one of my teachers taught me, try just doing one thing at a time. And so I started to make risotto, because you can't do anything else when you're making risotto. You have to constantly be stirring. And so I find making risotto very meditative and I really like it. And more people should try to make risotto.
I had this conversation with Kendra Hall about tasks that keep you mindless. She likes mowing the lawn. She likes getting on a lawnmower and mowing the lawn. I don't know what mine is. I've got a bunch of those, but I do certain tasks that are just as mindless and I love doing. There's a whole bunch of them.
Monotasking. Right.
Exactly. It gets you just kind of focused in one way.
Yeah.
Before I ask this question, I want to dive into something you had mentioned before. Henna, share your top 3 favorite Peloton instructors.
Easy. Okay. Cody Rigsby, Robin Arzon, and Tunde.
Oh, Tunde's a badass. I'm kind of in the Kendra, Emma Lovewell, and I like Matt Wilpers because I used to cycle, and he's like a real
cycler.
This is not a shout out against Olivia Amato, but Olivia Amato, I think, is only like 4'10", maybe. They might say she's 5 feet, and her speed of her legs going around, I cannot keep up. I'm about
certain
6 feet.
instructors are out to kill me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm 5'11", almost 6 feet, and I have very, very long legs. And I swear in my life, I cannot keep up with her. I don't know how it's even humanly possible how those little legs.
Olivia and Kendall, I cannot keep up with. Bless them, they're amazing. But I'm like, nope, can't do it.
And as for Cody, the bike is kind of in the other room over there, and we have the poorly designed old ones where the speaker's on the back, which made no sense. So the sound comes to me, and dude, that guy makes me laugh. He is one funny dude.
Free therapy from Cody.
Good, awkward. Everybody check it out. Henna Pryor. Everybody check her out. Thank you so much for coming on Thrive Loud today. So much fun to finally catch up with you in this forum, and continued success to you and your family and all the great stuff you have going on in your world, because you do thrive loud, and you are pretty loud. I liked it. I like the volume that's coming out of you.
Thank you, Lou. And I know I'm messing up timeline of podcast release here, but I'm excited to see you this weekend. So we will celebrate then.
The editors don't know that. We just recorded it early. We wanted to record it. It was so nice outside that we said we're going to record this inside early today, and it's all good because that's how busy you are, and we're excited for this book. So kick ass and keep it on. You got it?
Thank you.
To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be God.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.